Let me say something that might surprise you. Raw honey is powerful, but if you're using raw honey by itself after the age of 45, you are leaving a massive amount of blood flow, stamina, and hormonal support on the table. And in some cases, you may actually be slowing your results without realizing it. I see this mistake every single week in my clinic. Men come in confident, saying, "Doctor, I take raw honey every morning. I heard it's good for energy." And they're right, but they're also incomplete, because honey alone is only half the story. Now, before we go any further, let me ask you something very honest. Have you noticed that your energy doesn't last like it used to? That your erections take longer to arrive, don't feel as full, or fade faster than they should? That your legs feel heavier, your workouts don't pump the same way, and your confidence doesn't feel as sharp? Most men think this is just age. It isn't. It's circulation. And circulation after 45 works by very different rules than it did at 30. I'm Dr. Lina. I'm a board-certified urologist, and for over a decade, I've worked with men in their 40s, 50s, 60s, and beyond who want their blood flow, performance, and vitality back without relying on pills that stress the heart or destroy confidence. And today, I want to talk to you about something deceptively simple that can unlock a level of blood flow most men haven't felt in years. But I need you to listen carefully, because the details matter. Raw honey is not the enemy. In fact, it's one of nature's most intelligent fuels. It contains enzymes, minerals, antioxidants, and natural sugars that feed energy production. But honey by itself does not open blood vessels. Honey by itself does not restore nitric oxide. Honey by itself does not reverse stiff arteries. That's where men go wrong. Here's the part most YouTube videos don't tell you. Blood flow after 45 is not about energy. It's about signaling. When you were younger, your blood vessels were elastic. They responded quickly. Nitric oxide production was high. Testosterone supported vessel dilation. But with age, inflammation rises, insulin sensitivity drops, and nitric oxide production slows. That means you can have energy and still have poor circulation. Honey gives fuel, but it doesn't give the signal. This is why some men tell me, "Doc, I take honey, but nothing really changed." Of course it didn't. You filled the gas tank, but you never turned the key. Let me explain this in simple terms. Blood flow depends on three things: vessel flexibility, nitric oxide availability, and smooth muscle relaxation. Honey supports energy, but it does almost nothing for those three mechanisms unless it is paired correctly. When you combine raw honey with the right natural compound, something remarkable happens. Blood vessels relax, endothelial cells wake up, nitric oxide signaling improves, and blood moves where it's supposed to move. That's why today I'm going to explain exactly why you should never use raw honey alone after 45, what you must mix it with, how to take it safely, and what changes most men notice within weeks. And yes, this is all backed by physiology I see daily in real men, not theories. Now, let's address a dangerous myth. Many men believe that anything natural can be taken alone and still work. That is false. Nature works in systems. Plants evolved to work in combinations. Your body responds to synergy, not isolation. When you isolate one ingredient, you often weaken its effect. Honey is meant to be a carrier. It is not meant to act alone. Think of honey as a delivery vehicle. It transports compounds into cells efficiently, but if there's nothing powerful riding along, you're wasting its true purpose. This is why ancient medical systems never used honey by itself for circulation. They always paired it. Let me tell you what happens in the body when you take raw honey alone. Blood sugar rises quickly. Insulin responds. You get a short burst of energy. But insulin also temporarily blocks nitric oxide production. That means blood vessels do not open fully. In men with insulin resistance, which is extremely common after 45, this effect is even stronger. So instead of improving blood flow, honey alone can actually blunt it for a short time. Now, here's where everything changes. When raw honey is mixed with the right compound, insulin response becomes balanced instead of spiked. Nitric oxide production increases instead of decreases. Blood vessels relax instead of stiffen, and circulation improves not just to the heart and muscles, but to the pelvis as well. The compound I'm talking about is not exotic, it's not expensive, and it's not a drug. It's something most men have heard of, but almost no one uses correctly. That compound is ginger. Yes, ginger, but not the way most people use it. Let me explain why this works so powerfully. Ginger contains active compounds called gingerols and shogols. These compounds directly stimulate nitric oxide synthase, the enzyme responsible for producing nitric oxide in blood vessels. They also reduce inflammation in the vascular lining, allowing arteries to expand more easily. Ginger improves insulin sensitivity, meaning honey's sugars are absorbed slowly and steadily instead of spiking blood sugar. When you mix raw honey with raw ginger, honey acts as a bioavailability enhancer. It helps ginger's active compounds absorb more efficiently into the bloodstream. The result is smooth, sustained vasodilation instead of a sugar rush. In men over 45, this combination can noticeably improve circulation within 30 to 60 minutes. I've seen men report warmer hands and feet, stronger pumps during exercise, and yes, firmer, fuller erections without stimulants. Now, I want to be very clear. This is not a Viagra replacement. This is vascular nourishment. This is restoring function, not forcing it. And that distinction matters for long-term health. Here's how most men get it wrong. They add a little ginger tea sometimes, or they sprinkle ginger powder randomly. That won't work. The dose matters, the timing matters, and the form matters. Raw ginger root contains the highest concentration of active compounds. Powdered ginger is weaker. Ginger candy is useless. You want fresh ginger or a high-quality dried extract, combined with raw, unheated honey. Heat destroys honey's enzymes. Boiling water destroys ginger's volatile compounds. So if you're dumping honey into hot tea, you're killing the very reason it works. The correct method is simple. Take 1 teaspoon of raw honey, add about half a teaspoon of freshly grated ginger or a measured equivalent extract. Mix it thoroughly and take it on an empty stomach or at least 2 hours after a heavy meal. Most men feel circulation changes within the first week, not dramatic fireworks, subtle warmth, better endurance, morning erections returning more frequently, and over several weeks, confidence builds because blood flow becomes more reliable. Now, let me address safety, because this matters. Ginger lowers blood pressure slightly by improving vessel relaxation. That's usually beneficial, but if you are already on blood pressure medication, you need to monitor your response. This is why I always tell my patients, natural does not mean careless. Another mistake men make is taking this combination right before bed. That's not ideal. Ginger can be mildly stimulating. For best results, take it in the morning or early afternoon when circulation demand is high. Now, let's talk about why this matters specifically after 45. At this stage of life, testosterone is lower. Estrogen dominance may increase. Blood vessels lose elasticity. The pelvic arteries are among the smallest in the body, which means they show circulation problems before the heart does. Erectile changes are often the first warning sign of systemic vascular decline. Ignoring them is not strength. Addressing them is intelligence. This honey-ginger combination supports endothelial repair. It encourages nitric oxide release. It improves glucose handling, and it does so gently, without overstimulation. I've had men in their 60s tell me they feel more awake in their bodies after 3 weeks, not jittery, grounded, stable, present. That's the difference between stimulation and nourishment. Now, I want to take a moment to speak directly to the man listening quietly right now, the one who hasn't told anyone that things don't feel the same anymore, the one who worries but doesn't say it out loud. You are not broken. Your body is responding exactly as biology predicts, and biology can be supported. You don't need shame, you need understanding. Let me also address another myth. Many men think blood flow problems are permanent. They are not. Blood vessels respond remarkably well to consistent signals. They adapt, they reopen, but only if you give them the right environment. Honey alone is food. Honey plus ginger is communication. And communication is everything in physiology. Now let's talk about consistency. Taking this once won't change your life. Taking it daily for 6 to 8 weeks can shift your baseline. This is where men see the biggest difference, not just in sexual function, but in energy, mental clarity, and endurance. Some men ask me if they can add lemon. Lemon is fine, but it's optional. It does not replace ginger. Others ask about cinnamon. Cinnamon improves insulin sensitivity, but it does not stimulate nitric oxide as strongly. Ginger remains the key. If you only remember one thing from this video, remember this. Raw honey is a carrier, not a cure. Use it wisely. Before we continue, if this information already feels different from what you've heard elsewhere, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. I share evidence-based guidance for men who want to age powerfully, not passively, and I post weekly videos that YouTube does not push to everyone. Now let me explain what happens if you ignore this and keep using honey alone. Over time, repeated sugar spikes without vascular support can worsen insulin resistance. Insulin resistance damages blood vessels. That leads to weaker circulation, not stronger. This is why some men actually feel worse over time, even though they're doing something healthy. The intention is right, the execution is wrong. This is also why pairing matters. Your body is not a machine that responds to one input. It is a network, and networks thrive on balance. I want to talk briefly about erections because that's often what brings men here. Erections are not about desire alone. They are hydraulic events. Blood must enter quickly and stay trapped. That requires healthy arteries, responsive smooth muscle, and adequate nitric oxide. Honey gives energy. Ginger opens the door. Without the door opening, energy has nowhere to go. Now imagine this effect not just in the pelvis, but throughout the body. Better blood flow to muscles, to the brain, to the heart. This is why men often report clearer thinking and improved stamina alongside sexual improvements. This is not magic, it's physiology. One more important point. Do not combine this with alcohol. Alcohol constricts blood vessels after its initial dilation and counteracts ginger's benefits. If you want results, respect the process. Let me also say this clearly. This is not a substitute for medical care. If you have severe erectile dysfunction, chest pain, or diagnosed vascular disease, you need a full evaluation. But for the vast majority of men experiencing age-related decline, this supports what the body is already trying to do. I've watched men regain confidence simply because their body started responding again. That confidence spills into relationships, work, posture, and presence, and that's something no pill can fully replicate. Now, I want to end with this. Aging does not mean shrinking. It means adapting intelligently. Raw honey alone is outdated advice. Mixing it correctly is modern, informed self-care. If you want to support blood flow after 45, respect synergy, respect timing, respect your body's signals. And remember, you don't need extremes, you need consistency. If you found this valuable, leave a comment below with the word flow. I read them. And let me know if you want a follow-up video on nighttime circulation, testosterone-supportive foods, or pelvic artery health. Subscribe to the channel so you don't miss what most men never hear. This is Dr. Lina, and your body is still capable of more than you've been told.